When it comes to buying real estate in Belize and how it's different than buying real estate, say, in Canada or the United States, I think in terms of the process, there's not a huge difference in terms of the process. It's just there's little rules because Belize is kind of like old school real estate. What I mean by that is there's really not a lot of public information available when it comes to real estate. We don't have like a public directory where you can find information and in the way that we have like in Canada or the United States. So that's one of the first things to kind of know when it comes to real estate in Belize is that anyone can pretty much sell real estate in Belize because there's not really like a rule base that prevents people from being able to sell real estate. So when it comes to buying real estate in Belize, you really need to make sure the person you're dealing with, and I'll show that later on in the course, how you can search to make sure that they actually are able to buy and sell real estate in Belize. So that's one of the one difference I would say when it comes to buying real estate in Belize compared to like in Canada or the United States. And the second thing is that things move very slowly when it comes to Belize. So if you're someone who know like in Canada when you buy make an offer, usually you'll get an offer within like accept them within like 24 hours or whatever it is, and then usually you have financing which is maybe 2 weeks, and then maybe the deal will be done in a few months. It could take much longer in Belize because you have to keep in mind that when you're buying the property in Belize, it's likely that property is owned by someone that's a foreigner too, right? So there may be different time zone changes. So things literally can move. If someone tells you to get back to you tomorrow, don't believe tomorrow. Like it's probably going to be later on in the week. And then just don't lose sleep over it because I remember when I was doing my deal, they would tell me, they will get back to me tomorrow. But because I've been to Belize and I knew, a couple of times I knew how that culture was, I was like, oh, like tomorrow doesn't mean tomorrow. Tomorrow probably means like 2 days from now. So I didn't freak out whenever, I was dealing with my realtor and they would say, I'll get this back to you tomorrow. I was like, okay, yeah, probably more like Thursday. He'll get it back to me. So just keep that in mind. Things move very slow when it comes to real estate in Belize. The next difference when it comes to comparing North America real estate transactions compared to Belize is that, well, the way deals are done. So like my deal when it came to looking at my land, I actually looked at it over WhatsApp because while I had been to Belize, the place I was investing in, I actually hadn't been to yet. I just invested in it as I will show you during the courses. I felt this was a good area for me to make my first investment because the data I was seeing said that this was the best place for me to make the investment for the long term. So the place, San Pedro, which I ended up investing in, I hadn't been to San Pedro. I ended up going to San Pedro after we actually completed our deal on the actual land itself. So just keep that in mind that it's very common that you may deal with a realtor and they may do a Zoom call or they may do things like a WhatsApp to try to show you the land. That's a normal thing, right? Because again, not everyone's going to have the ability to just get on a flight and literally go see something. Now, I would encourage you that if you're spending, upwards of 200,000 plus, please go see the property. Like, don't just go over a Zoom call. You can do the Zoom call to make the initial offer, but go see the property before you remove all the subjects and everything is closed and you can get your deposit back and such like that. And the Zoom one is actually a better option because when you do the Zoom, it allows you to then record it, right? So they can record that conversation. And that's really important because now you can take the time to look at it yourself. Well, also, if you do it over WhatsApp, you can record the call at the same time at the time making this video anyways, this course. So you want to make sure that do the Zoom one because the Zoom one will allow you to at least record it and then you'll have your copy to rewatch it. And the final major difference when it comes to buying real estate compared to buying real estate in North America is that real estate in Belize, in terms of purchasing real estate, is entirely based on cash, really, right? Like that's the main way in terms of how foreigners buy real estate in Belize because you don't have the ability to go to a bank to get financing. So those are the four things I would say to keep in mind when it comes to how is it different compared to your own country. Is your country, I would say in North America, we're a little bit more organized. Things move a little more smoothly. We have like information, public information we can go look up. Like we can go, right now in Canada, if there's a particular, house that I'm interested in to know who the potential owner is, there's a process where I can go find who that owner is. In Belize, you can do that, but it's still like old school where there's a lot of running around, a lot of people, a lot of resources required to find that information. It's not easily publicly available yet. And that might be a good thing for some of you, right? Because then the information isn't public available. And then the last thing is just to keep in mind, most of the transactions here are going to be cash based, right? So when you're looking at deals, there is different options, which I'll go over here in the next sections of the course. But I would say this is entirely a cash based real estate market. And it's also priced in US dollars. So that's really important for you. So that's how I would say real estate in Belize is different than buying real estate in like Canada and the United States or any other developed country that you're accustomed to.